is with Iran. It's this is a country that has said, and I know it's if we don't repeat it over and over, we may forget it. They want to annihilate Israel. And Israel is one of the greatest democracies that we have as our allies. And we deserve, and they deserve, to have their backs protected. They're being bombed every day. Just think of yourself if you lived in Israel. And every time that siren went off, which it goes off more than one time a day, you have to run for a shelter and take your children with you. How would you like to live there? But yet you let a president that you voted for go over there and talk to them, and then the media, they get behind it and act like this is wonderful, that he doesn't want war. Well, you talk to anybody that volunteers in our service, they want freedom for the world, and I think we have a moral obligation to get over there and help them and not talk to these Iranians. First of all, they should not even begin a talk without them agreeing that Israel is a state and they're willing to coexist with them. That should be, and if they are not willing to do that, don't talk to them, and do like many of the generals say. You want to stop the atomic bomb? And that's what I have to say. And what do you have to say, Teresa?
Well, before Teresa gets started, if we can play this Judge Janine soundbite, then we'll all have something to comment on that. Is that all right with you, Teresa?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's play this Judge Janine bite, and she'll give us something to talk about. Okay.
Why are we sleeping with the enemy? Writing them love letters? Dining with them in Swiss palaces? While they chant death to America? While they dance with the devil as the main sponsor of terrorism and death around the world? Why are we so desperate to put a ring on Iran's finger and engage them on the nuclear issue? All the while spurning our one loyal and true ally, Israel. Why, Mr. President? So young Iranians can get jobs?
If Iran's leaders can agree to a reasonable deal, it can lead to a better path, the path of greater opportunities for the Iranian people, more trade and ties with the world, more foreign investment and jobs, including for young Iranians.
There are those who say your decisions are politically driven, like your decision to get out of Iraq, or the decision to empty Guantanamo, to trade 5 Taliban leaders for 1 American who most knew was a deserter. And more on that one coming up later in the show. But even your most cynical critics can't figure out what possible benefit there is to engage in nuclear discussions with Iran. Do you really believe, Mr. President, that Iran is developing centrifuges only for scientific and medical reasons? Is the Ayatollah Khomeini channeling you and trying to institute Khomeini care in Iran? Iran is one of the world's largest exporters of oil. They have few energy needs. And if they want nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, why were they hiding one of their facilities and putting it in a bunker 300 feet below ground, behind mountains, making it almost impervious to attack? Now, you all know I've been pushing the U.S. to protect its power grid for years, but the Iranians burying it the length of a football field below ground, to me, can mean only one thing. And reports are this year that they will have intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of carrying a nuclear warhead. Now, I may be a cynic, but I don't believe they need an intercontinental ballistic missile to disperse Khomeini care pamphlets to the public. And by the way, Iran is also ramping up its seafaring capabilities with the building of one of the world's largest naval fleets. And the commander of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard said, "The Americans and our enemies cannot stand up against the Islamic system's deterrence power, no matter how hard they try." And now we hear that the agreement might not even be put in writing. So how are you going to seal the deal? Pinky swear? And what are you going to do? Sue them if they violate the agreement? Even the man you trusted enough to appoint as your Secretary of Defense, Leon Panetta, said the Iranians just can't be trusted. And how can we be assured that Iran will not put itself in a position of enriching uranium, the necessary step to build a nuclear bomb, when they won't even agree to snap inspections? Now, Mr. President, we say America's goal is to defeat terrorism, to advance democracy and human rights around the world. So why, Mr. President, would you insist on dancing with the devil? Why isn't our one true ally Israel or Egypt on your dance card? More American blood has been spilled by Iran and the terrorism it sponsors in the Middle East than by any other country. Iran says it's within its rights to enrich uranium. That's like saying a proven mass murderer living next to a daycare center has the right to buy as many AK-47s as he wants. Mr. President, America needs to stop sleeping with the enemy, dancing with the devil, and writing love letters to those who want to kill us. This love story isn't going to end the way you think it is. It's time to break off the engagement. And that's my open. Tell me what you think on Facebook or Twitter at Judge Janine. Hashtag Justice Open.
Wow. That's pretty terrific. Okay, Teresa, let's have some feedback on that one.
I don't think she ever says anything that I don't agree with.
I know. Isn't that the truth?
She is absolutely right. We should not be they are terrorists. You know, call them what they are. Too much political correctness with this administration. You know, how did they get the sanctions in the first place? It's because you cannot trust them to do what they say they're going to do. You know, and I was reading a thing, I don't know what they call their leader, the Grand Ayatollah, you know, when he was talking about how their negotiations, you know, went all their way. You know, they got the president to admit that Iran would not roll over to bullying and sanctions. And why aren't they happy? You know that by June, they are going to have received $11.9 billion that we have unfroze and returned to them. The next money giveaway is April 15th. Imagine that. So far, they've gotten like 859 million. In the end, by June, it will be 11.9 billion. And I'm just in shock over our administration and our Congress. I will give them a little bit of credit. The bill that Mona alluded to, 363 congressmen, you know, Democrat and Republican, have come together, and a bill sponsored by Tennessee Rep. Bob Corker is to bar the administration from making changes to sanctions against Iran for 60 days until Congress until Congress can review and debate them. And as for John Kerry and the Nobel Peace Prize, hasn't the Nobel Peace Prize award really gone downhill? The requirements, and it used to be an honor, and you had to do something wonderful and for humanity, and not anymore. Not since, look, Obama got one for, I guess, getting elected. And now John Kerry, I am amazed at the ignorance that our leaders have.
Amazed. Yep.
Realize it's the Nobel Peace Prize is led by a one world socialist, and when they nominated Obama, it lost all credibility anyway.
I agree with you there.
Well, Mary, what have you got to talk about? As far as Judge Janine goes, I like the parody that she used with a wedding, don't you?
Oh yeah, yes.
And let's fall out of love. How about that?
Amen. I just want to read one quick quote by Mark Thiessen. In announcing his nuclear framework, the president declared, "This agreement is good for the United States, good for our allies, and good for the safety of the entire world." He said the deal requires them to freeze their existing nuclear program and to accept international inspection of all existing facilities. He said the agreement does not rely on trust. Compliance will be certified by the International Atomic Energy Agency. The president who spoke these words was not Barack Obama. It was Bill Clinton on October 18, 1994, announcing that his administration had reached an agreement on a nuclear framework with North Korea. 12 years later, North Korea exploded a nuclear bomb, and today Pyongyang is reportedly a few years away from having as many as 100 nuclear weapons. Does that not sound like history repeating itself?
Yeah, in spades.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, isn't it that North Korea actually is in cahoots with Iran? It's not just a matter of historical perspective. It's actually that they are in active cahoots with them today over developing so they can wham bam us from both sides.
Oh, yes, I believe so. I mean, if you look at the whole picture, we're giving all these enemies of the United States power, because they're not going to show the world their little nuclear programs. Trust, you've got to be kidding me.
Trust was Iran today just moved a warship off the coast of Yemen and declared the Saudi bombings over there a crime. And they're looking to stir up. They don't want peace. They don't want peace. They think they've made out great.
Well, they know they have.
They've made out like bandits.
They have. All the while chanting "Death to America."
Oh, but didn't you see the news, Marcia? They don't really mean that.
Oh, yeah, right. Uh-huh. I know. It's just really rough on them. This having not to chant "Death to America." Just bless their little pointed heads. They just can't help it, and they're in such a habit of talking about us in such a gosh awful way. All right, we're going to take a break, and we're going to have you listen to some music, and it's in honor of our soldiers and our military and their soldiers and their military. So you stay right there. We will be right back.